Right. Hello, guys.
Hey,
PFCA podcast.
it's a pleasure. It's an honor.
Hey? The podcast by coaches for coaches. Hey? So, really cool. Justin Knussi, aka Coach.
Yeah.
Spelled correctly with a K. Did you know you spelled it wrong, or is it just?
No, I did it on purpose.
Oh, right. Okay. Like a little bit of subtle branding.
Yeah, it's kind of. I was like, oh, why not, right?
I assume so. I assume so.
I love my last name, so I was just like, I want that to somewhat transfer over to my brand / my coaching, etc.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, chuck a K in there.
Get the K in. And we got Coach Tess. This girl's made of something, eh?
Massively.
She's made of something.
Yeah, as a coach and an athlete as well.
Yeah.
And a punch bag.
Yeah.
And a punch bag.
Yeah, she's got bent. eh? Yeah.
Oh my God, that whole Edinburgh trip was incredible.
Oh, so good.
I was cracking up to myself at home the other day. I was just thinking of Alex on that night.
Oh God.
Oh, he was so
He's
funny.
so good.
Yeah.
So guys, like in effect, really, this podcast is so cool because essentially what we really want to aim to do is just inspire coaches that success, whatever they deem success is, can be reached, and we kind of want to just map that out for them. And a large portion of the coaches like yourselves that we work with in the PFCA are just doing the work, and it's like proof of concept. And the concept isn't anything special. It's not like we've got a magic sauce, a magic recipe, do this like sales ad and it changes the game. It's largely based on community and authenticity and doing fucking work, right? And that's been like the big thing. So I just want to touch on your story, just because I've been very fortunate to work really closely with you over the last 18 months and seeing your evolution go from like an insecure coach who was trying to convince himself that like he could go do these things to now a super confident guy who knows exactly what his lane is. He's got a balance between work, drive, relationships, happiness, and your own athleticism. I couldn't be more proud of you, to be honest. But let's talk about that whole evolution. How's it been for you personally?
Oh, it's been one hell of a journey the past year. Like, as you said, like it started off just coming from a place a bit of an unknown, having no guidance, no accountability, no sort of direction in the industry in itself. I mean, I'm sure Tess can vouch. A lot of people come into the industry, even with that qualification, still unknowing of not only their ability as a coach, but their ability to sort of communicate as a person. It sounds silly, but that has always been something I've learned massively from the PFCA, was your ability to be a good person and translate that into coaching. So I think it started with a lot of trying to be a better coach, when actually, you know, working closely with you, it delved down to more just understanding you as a person, understanding what you want, what ideally you'd want to see your clients achieve, and all of those like sort of underlying meaning behind your being to some extent.
I love that. I love that.
Because at the end of the day, if you're wanting to be a coach, you're going to spend a lot of time coaching, right? So if you're not, in essence, doing not what you want to do, because everyone wants to be a coach, but achieving what you want to achieve through your clients, then you're not really going to enjoy your 30 hours of coaching you're doing a week, right? So then you keep questioning yourself, and then you enter this massive washing machine of emotions and just like, am I doing the right thing? Am I coaching the right people? Am I coaching right? Am I doing things right? When that's not really the question. It's all stems down to, again, that's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is what you want to achieve deep inside, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unraveling of that, and it took time. But like you said, as long as you sort of set your mind to it, you're around the people that are going to remind you to keep working and keep like hacking at it, because it can be frustrating. Then it will eventually unravel, and you'll eventually find it. And then the coaching side of things just flows. And then you'll understand all of those programming, which everyone's kind of goes towards it initially. They're like, how do I program? And it's like, that's the last of your worries at the moment.
It's amazing. I could pull apart everything you said there. I love the word direction. I think in this industry, like you almost just like follow like a goldfish, what you see on social media and think that's the way to go. Right. But actually, you need to truly do the work to try and discover what it is that you enjoy most. Now, it might be that you need to expose yourself to many different elements of fitness, whether it's boutique fitness, whether it's classes, whether it's CrossFit, PT, one-to-one, SGPT, online, whatever, right? But what's really important is that you need to have some sort of direction, some sort of North Star. And you're right, like people focus on these weird metrics of success or what have you, but unless you're getting this level of fulfillment from each session, from each day, like every time you put your head on the pillow and go, fuck, that was a good day. Like that's what you want. That's what you need. Because PT is hard, right? Like, PT is hard work. Like if you actually giving all of yourself to every session, like you're taxed.
Yeah.
Your brain, like emotionally, mentally, it's hard work. So it's really important to like really nail down in that direction. And you're right. Like people think it's programming. People think it's like, oh, I need to get better at programming. It's like, no, you need to get better understanding your client and how to make this programming applicable to them so that you can boost buy-in, so you could boost like their level of enjoyment and their experience. And I think that's one thing that we get really right from all things PFCA, March Online, is the actual experience of the session, of the product is far greater than anything else. So people are leaving feeling trained, not drained. They're leaving feeling like empowered, vibrant to take on life. Like ultimately as people in our position as trainers, coaches, PTs, whatever we're going to call ourselves, like we have that power and somehow we lose it. We lose sight of it because we almost get lost in our own ego, right? Yeah.
It's a level of ego and insecurity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's they're two contrasting sort of characteristics of the emotions, right? Yeah. And they clash. And like you said, when you're mid through a session and you're insecure about what you're delivering because you're not confident about what you're delivering, but then you have some element of ego, there's loads of things happening and then you don't feel this level of fulfillment. Then you go back to back sessions and you're like, I've had a horrible day. But it all stems down again, deeper down.
It's amazing, right? And we always talk about hard work.
Yeah.
And people think like hard work's like the 60-hour week PT, right? Like that's so like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then even now it's like, 30 hours a week's hard. Mate, do the hard work about actually truly finding out who you are. Like let's get more self-aware. Let's truly understand your drivers. Let's remove the ego. Let's ask better questions of yourself. Seek mentorship, seek advice, seek counsel, get better peers, kill the circle that might be neglecting, bringing you down, negatively influencing you. And that's hard work.
Yeah.
And if you do that, oh my word, things are so clear.
Massively.
Tess, what are the things that gives you like the greatest sense of fulfillment as a coach?
Seeing my clients' confidence increase is the best thing for me. So I get really excited when I see their movement improve.
Yeah.
But the main thing for me is their confidence, because it's seeing it translate from in their sessions to outside of their sessions. So they'll come to me and they'll be like, I got promoted, or I started dating someone, or just seeing them their level of confidence increase to put themselves out there, both in but more so outside of their sessions. It's the lifestyle stuff for me. I think there's a massive, the personal side of personal training has been lost big time. And I think that's what a lot of coaches nowadays are missing. And I think that is the most important thing. If you can help someone change and develop mentally, the physical stuff will just come.
100%. Oh, I couldn't agree with that more. I think we as personal trainers, we try and like quickly identify with like different titles to try and again fulfill this ego thing. I remember how quickly I wanted to, this is going back 10 years ago, but I just didn't want to be known as a personal trainer. Yeah. Coming from a rugby background and having done loads of S&C quals, I was like, no, I just want to be known as like a strength coach or whatever. Because in my perception of personal trainer, it was like just as bad as a car salesman, right? Like super cringe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in actual fact, like, and this is one of the aims of and missions of the PFCA is to actually professionalize what it is that we do, because our role and responsibility is incredible. And in actual fact, like you're a personal trainer, you're a strength coach, you're a life coach, you're a lifestyle coach, you're a rehab coach. You got to be all of it if you're going to be a truly professional coach. And you're right. Like until you put the personal back into personal training, and you need to acquire the skills to truly understand behavioral change, so you could like positively manipulate people into the right direction so that they can achieve things that they never thought possible.
Yeah.
Right. And it's those like, it's being able to influence those little things that they might say to themselves normally, and you just change that. Right. So it's like, oh, I can't lift that. It's like, babe, it's cool. Trust me. Like last week you got this. I just want 2 more reps. Like, let's go. And then they do it. They're like, fuck. But if you do that multiple times over and over in various different degrees of complexity, various degrees of like difficulty, you start to change a person's understanding of what it is that they're capable of. And I used to love when I used to own a gym, and I remember some like young professional females that come in and, you know, they're spending, I don't know, 200 quid a weekend on going out and taxis and whatever. And then they look at like the 250 quid a month membership and be like, that's a bit pricey. And I remember one fun conversation with someone through a consultation. I realized she's been trying to get these job promotions, but she's not really going anywhere with her career. And I said to her, I was like, if we get your confidence to the right level, I guarantee you it'll be worth way more than your membership a year. Probably be worth about 20 grand a year to you. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, a few months in, she's getting stronger. She's feeling good. She's feeling confident. One day she messaged me and she's like, I went into work today and I had a whole bunch of meetings and I wore this suit. I've never felt more powerful in my life. Fuck yes, right? Anyway, a few weeks later, she's like, Jens, I've gone for that promotion and I've got it. And she got it to 25 grand pay rise.
There you go.
It's like, yeah, so your 250 quid a month gym membership gave you some kind of return. Do you know what I mean? But people don't see that.
No.
Right?
Because drawing from my experience with fitness myself, right, and my journey with fitness, it's where all the automatic funnel you go into is the aesthetical side of things. Like, I want a PT, I want a personal trainer to change the way in which I look. I want to start training to change the way in which I look. And as a general goal, that's always going to be sort of the largest one we see coming through the doors, right? But, you know, as a good professional coach, it's then our role to sort of not necessarily educate, but just have good conversations with these individuals to sort of expand their knowledge on how fitness may lie within their life and how it may benefit them, i.e. like, you know, strength, like how much actual strength transfers into how you feel. Not only everything revolves around how you look. And as a coach, the first thing when you do come out of the industry, when I did, was like, okay, what's the quickest way I can get them to look the way they want to look? Right? That's always the first thing. And then again, you start chucking loads of different things at them that they don't actually need because you think that that's all they want. When if you just have a proper good consultation where you actually spend some time listening to your client, talking to your client, you can unravel a load of things there and help them understand that, okay, yes, aesthetics may be a goal, but there are so many other things we can track how much fitness is playing a part in your life. Do you know what I mean?
100%. People think, like a great analogy is using the CrossFit model, right? So the reason why CrossFit does so well is because of what they've done from a community standpoint, right? Like the ones that do really well, they really have like these individual boxes have incredible communities where people thrive, right? And there's a adopted behavior that everyone follows, hence why people achieve certain goals, what have you. But people join because they go, oh, wow, look how lean they are. I need to do CrossFit. So subliminally, they think, fuck, if I need to like look a certain way, I need to go and train like this. What they don't realize is, no, you needed a new community. You needed a new group of friends. You needed to not realize that going out for 3 nights a week getting drunk was cool, but actually training 3 nights a week and then meeting up with your fitness friends on the weekend. That's cool now. And now all of a sudden you've got this new learned behavior and therefore the byproduct is looking good. But it wasn't anything other than the fact that like you needed a new group of friends. But people aren't going to come to you and go, I need a new group of friends, please help. People aren't going to come to you and go, I need to be educated on how to train properly. Right? People aren't going to come to you and go, I need to work on my mindset. Like loads of coaches come to us and like, oh, I've studied this mindset course. I want to sell like a mindset online program. It's like, Yeah, but no one's going to go mindset course.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to Google that because they don't realize like that that's what they need. It's a byproduct of these things, right? And like exercise prescription, in actual fact, it's false anyway. It's a made up solution to try and get people to move, right? But it's because of movement and because of like empowering people, because of increased strength, that then allows them a deeper understanding of like, oh shit, I can do something I put my mind to.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And it permeates or transcends into all other areas of life. That's cool.
I think a lot of it is to do with trust, which we've spoken about before. And if you can get your client to trust you, then you get that buy-in, and then no one's ever going to hear something if they don't want to listen. And that's when you start drip feeding the mindset stuff in, is once they've really start trusting you. Because I think people can get quite defensive when you start talking about mindset, because they're like, well, I'm fine. No, I've got nothing wrong with me. But if you have got the trust in them and you make them feel like they're your friend, because it's a very personal thing. I think people are really vulnerable when they come and train with you. And some trainers really abuse that, or they don't understand just how vulnerable their clients are just by being there with them for this session. So if you can, like, I think you have to respect that, first of all. And once you respect it and you listen to them and you understand what your clients like, that's when you know what to start drip feeding in to help with their mental side, without being like, you should do this, you need to do this, you should journal. It's like, well, that might not actually work for this particular client. You can help them in other ways. Like for me personally, for my mindset, going for a walk helps me, but my coach wouldn't know that unless we explored that. So if they told me, oh, you should meditate, sometimes if I meditate, it makes me feel more wound up. And then that completely defeats the point of it. So it's about gaining the trust and communicating well with your clients. And I think that's the part that when you do your level 3 PT, there was loads of physical stuff that I felt I was missing and didn't really know, but there was absolutely nothing on mindset. And I think that is like the main thing that sets certain coaches apart from others, is when they can marry the two together.
Yeah. Can I expand on that in terms of communication? So like, you know, the biggest change I've had in my coaching is the language in which I use with my clients. It's the way you speak to them. So it's having the right questions, having the right terminology, just making sure, again, when we not only empower them through physical movement, but also through the conversations we have. So that's something that I learned, you know, from you, Jen, specifically, is the language you choose to use can set the environment around you with your clients and also your peers that you work with, right? Again, there's going to be people who use language that isn't as empowering, isn't as uplifting, and that people pick up on that over time, right? They definitely do pick up on the way in which you speak to someone. Again, like you said, you should do this, you should do that, but instead, like, ask questions. How have you ever tried? All these little subtle things in the changes of language has, like, my clients from day one who signed up with me when I was, you know, a week on the floor of the gym, have been like, the way in which you speak to me, the way in which you've changed has completely changed.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. I think loads of people talk about buy-in like on such a surface level, but there's so much when it comes to like trust, respect, to be able to like really get that. And until you do the consultation the right way, ask the right questions, get enough information, really try and meet your client where they're at, a phrase in which is almost bastardized now, you're just going to get it wrong. And yeah, comms, like communication skills in this game, you know, is always and will always be the most important thing. I remember when I used to be in a commercial facility and there was like 24 trainers on the floor. The best trainers weren't the ones who were most technically gifted. You know, the busiest or most successful ones weren't the most technically gifted. It was the ones who had the gift of the gab. Yeah. The ones who could just talk so well. Now, whether positive or negative, but they could speak really well. Yeah. Unfortunately, where we go wrong as trainers is because we have so much power, if you don't truly understand how powerful you are, you could negatively affect someone as well, which I think is really important. So you're right, there's an abuse of power, there's an abuse of that trust. And it comes down to like your beliefs, right? Like, let's say keto works for you, right? Then all of a sudden you believe that everyone needs to be on keto. That's your beliefs. You can't go and position that onto everyone else. I mean, that's a very basic level, but there's loads of things that as trainers, because it works for you, doesn't necessarily work for your client. And that again is putting like your ego or your system first, rather than like, okay, how can I meet my client where they're at? How can I listen, ask better questions? Then how can I advise or steer? Like I always say, like coaching is nudge, nudge, wink, wink, right? Yeah. If you can like nudge, nudge, wink, wink someone in the right direction, but allow them to feel like they went there themselves, that's coaching. The problem that the industry has at the moment is because of the ego thing, they don't want to feel like their client could be autonomous. Yeah. Right? Because that means that they aren't needed anymore. Right? And like, if that was the case, then loads of trainers would feel like they wouldn't have any business. But if you could truly grow as you grow your clients, but you stay ahead of them and ahead of the curve, then you're going to have clients for life if you are growing. And I think that's the biggest thing here. It's like a personal trainer today who is going to be a professional needs to have all these skill sets, but also needs to have a drive and ambition, a willingness to learn and grow themselves, whether it's self-development, whether it's education, whether it's relationships, training, what have you. But there needs to be an air of just a growth mindset.
Yeah. I think that gets thrown around a lot. Everyone seems to think they have a growth mindset, but a lot of people don't, and it comes back to that ego again. So a lot of people are very fixed in their ways, and like you said, if it works for them, they think it's going to work for their clients. But I think it's the same as therapy. It's like their role is to help you come to a conclusion or figure stuff out for yourself. They don't give you the answers, and that's what I've realized over time. When you were saying, as a coach, you're a life coach, you're this, you're that, the other. You are also a therapist. Like it's a big part of the job. And that doesn't mean you have to give them the answers, that you can guide them to go to therapy if you feel like that would actually be more beneficial for them. But it's about listening and asking the right questions so that they come up with the answers or they figure things out for themselves. That's something, because I've been to therapy and I found that so powerful. My first session, I came back and I was like to my mum, they didn't tell me anything. Like, they didn't give me any answers. And I'm quite solutions driven and I like answers. And then over the time, when it was so empowering, figuring the stuff out for yourself, and then you really have a better understanding of yourself, and that stays with you for life. And I think that is a massive part of our jobs, is to help people figure stuff out about themselves, because it's the long game. There are all these like, get abs in 12 weeks and do this in 12 weeks. And that's actually why I first got into it, is because there were all these like 3-month programs. I was like, where is the sustainability here? And it seemed like there's quite a big gap. There's something that was missing there. And a lot of my clients, they probably don't actually need me. They know what they're doing. They've got to the point now where they could totally go and do a gym session by themselves, but they love having the sessions now. And that's when they do stay with you for life. And I'm like, you don't actually need me anymore. Like, you can go and do this. But the nicest feeling is when they turn around and go, I know, but I want you. I still want to train with you because of the benefits I get mentally as well as physically. Yeah,
I think that's amazing. And, in terms of information, like, people can find out how to do all the shit on their own. Like, they don't need, they don't need us. So what they're actually paying for is like accountability and implementation. Yeah. Right. And then can we use our power to be able to just have positive effects at that like 1% mark, those marginal gains, to try and facilitate better behaviors, better self-talk, what have you. I think what's really interesting is just how, through this discussion, how complex it is to be a personal trainer, right? But equally how exciting, because there's holes that you can go and plug, and there's a rabbit hole that you can dive down. I mean, how cool is that? Like, if you did have a growth mindset and you're listening to this, you should have a fire in your belly going, there's so much I need to learn. Yeah. If you're sitting there going, I know this shit, just get out.
That's the thing is, I feel like when we use the term hard work, there are so many, terms in the fitness industry at the moment. When you come in now, it's just overwhelming. And you can easily look at, when we talk about content and ingesting content, you can look at Instagram, Facebook, wherever it may be, see a term like growth mindset and say, oh, cool, I'm growth mindset. Like, I know what that is. That means I'm going to try and level up every day. When hard work really comes down to unpicking those and making sure you understand what that entails, the behaviors it entails, how you can implement it not only to yourself, but your clients. And I think that's where again, the hard work slightly lacks is not only, this instantaneous of results or learning is transferred between both physical in the gym and outside in learning. Like, again, it's so easy for me to look at something and be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're on about there, when I haven't spent the hours understanding it and all of that. Like when Jens told me to read a book, again, hands up in the air, he told me to read Effortless by McCowan. I sat there when he told me, and I read the title, and I was like, okay, cool. I read the back, and I was like, I kind of know what this book is about, right? And I didn't read it for about 2 weeks because I was like, oh, I understand what it means. It just try and make things easier. When I was like, actually, Justin, what the hell are you doing? Like, no, you can't just. You have to put the time in to understand what the book's about, what you have to do to apply, and then go from there. But like, because again, naturally we go for this instantaneous result, we think we can sort of umbrella everything, and it's the last thing we can do. And being part of a PFCA is where you learn to unpick that. You go, oh, I've picked up something, or someone said this, one of the other coaches has said this. We either go to you, Ollie, or we go to another coach that we're involved with in the PFCA, and you unpick that and you have those conversations about those things. And again, having that sort of, we say, community and group of people that are willing to have these conversations and unpick these coaching terminologies or methods and stuff like that, there's no better place for it.
I think that's one of the best things about the PFCA is the lack of ego.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn, you have to drop your ego. And I've been in environments for years where it's so egocentric, and I actually feel like I've never properly fit in. And I had it at school as well. Like there were certain environments I was just like, this is not me. I want to learn. And I think in order to learn from other people, you have to be willing to accept that you don't know everything. And that requires you to drop your ego. Yeah,
there's a level of like confident humility. Yeah. It's like everyone's slightly confident. Everyone is confident in their ability, but also has a level of humility and can have these open conversations. And also very not positive conversations, but like progressive conversations. Never a dead end. I've not had a conversation in the PFCA or with one of the coaches or with you that reached a dead end or no conclusion. There's forwards and backs, and everyone respects everyone's opinions, and then we go from there. And I like that.
I mean, that's our mission, right? Is to actually make it feel really safe, but very collaborative. Because there is no such thing as competition in the fitness industry. There really isn't. There's so much food on the table for everyone. Our mission is to just get as many amazing people at the table with us. And if you're at the table with us, we'll look after you. And that's our mission. I think largely you talk about ego. I think it's so easy to sell a system. It's so easy to say this is the only way. It's got nothing to do with that. It's like, who are you? What's important to you? How do you want to help people? And let's facilitate that. That's really important. I just want to touch back on the therapy thing, Tess. Really amazing story. And it feeds a lot of what I do with everything as a coach in my role. And obviously as a mentor, I get to play around with being a coach still, which is much more of an advisor, a nudge. But because of my advisory role as well, I get to say, you need to at times, because of the relationship that I get to have with, you guys. But I have this amazing story of a good friend of mine who was a client of mine, and he's an actor, and he had many years of like struggling to get work, like amazing actor, but he just wasn't getting anywhere. Anyway, and at the time he just believed that the only thing that would keep him sane was training. So I put him through some mindset stuff that I'd learned through my years of coaching. And what it did was it facilitated a conversation to be like, dude, we need to go and start therapy. We need to go and ask better questions, and it's outside of my remit. So he was like, you're absolutely right. I've been thinking about it for a while. Thank you for kind of pushing me or nudging me towards this. So he goes and he's going through therapy, and he's reporting back to me because he's wanting to collaborate on how, the questions, the language, the things he might do, things like that. Anyway, so snowball effect, and you're just seeing this guy grow like tremendously. I mean, his career, now you're talking like pre-COVID, his career was just like, wasn't going anywhere. And then COVID hit, and then like, the whole film industry just crashed. So now you can imagine how negative your mindset could be, potentially. Anyway, he continues with therapy, and a few weeks into this whole COVID thing, and in a session, she says to him, "You're done." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You've completed therapy. You're good now." And he was like, "What?" And just telling you is giving me goosebumps on how empowered he was when he came and told me, because I saw him directly after that. We had a little FaceTime session, and he was like, he was legit so empowered by being given wings to go, "You're good." And as coaches, we need to feel like we can do that to people. Imagine what you could do to someone if you could truly empower them the way he was empowered. That's gold. Throw it on its head. His mindset, his behaviors are so good that right now he's living his best life, and he's got the biggest contracts set for the next 4 years. Wow. His whole career is completely transformed. And that's an identity shift and a half.
Yeah.
That's what we get to do, right? Like, without my ego at play here, and I'm South African, so generally very arrogant anyway. But I had a chance to play in that role, right? Like, I had a role in that whole thing. Like, that gives me so much happiness, so much fulfillment. Like, that's how important our job is.
It's like, it makes me think of one of my clients. So she really struggled with food for a long time, kind of in her early 20s, and she's in her early 30s now, to the point every year summer would come around and she would dread it because she was dreading wearing shorts or anything. And so she just wouldn't go outside. And it actually happened again during COVID. I feel like it was really beneficial for a lot of people's mindsets, whether they knew it or not. And I just got this text from her, and she was like, "Tess, I'm walking down Oxford Street." It was when everything had opened back up for a period of time. She was like, "And I'm in shorts." And that, for me, I think that is the biggest win I've ever had from any of my clients. Just seeing her like take control of her life and change how she viewed her identity shift. It's incredible. And that, like, when you ask me, what's the best thing for you with your clients, that was everything for me.
So sick. So guys, just to wrap up, because I feel like we can talk all day. This is so much fun. If I were to ask you a question, I'll start with you, Just. What is a professional personal trainer? What is that?
Professional personal trainer, first of all, is someone who can, fulfill their life through coaching full time without having to do anything on the side, right? But I think extending further than that, it's someone who truly, again, understands what they're doing, what they're waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning for, and someone who is excitable to go and see their clients on a day-to-day basis and to do that all year round. Although I chug coffee all day, not someone who needs to chug coffee all day to get through their days to try and put some money in their wallet. Chasing the next client. I don't think that's what a professional coach is. It's not someone who's constantly looking for leads. It's someone who's confident in their ability to coach and run their business alongside of it.
Nice. Tess?
I was going to say, someone who views it not as a job, but as a lifestyle. I think the professional side, yes, it's really important to be professional, but also understanding that by being friends with your clients, that's what's going to help elevate them more so than if they just view you as their coach who's very transactional and you pay them money each month. It's about being a good personal trainer, someone who changes lives of other people, I think. And that's what fulfills the trainer's life as well. So it's about fulfilling others whilst fulfilling your own.
Well, I think just carry on before we wrap it.
Go.
It's like we talk about all these client wins and, them doing such great things in and outside of the gym, but we forget about ourselves and our wins. And again, like, you've played a massive role in my win and my journey the past year and how much success I've had both in and out of the gym. And like, it all comes down to, again, me seeking mentorship and having someone by my side. And, coaches, again, need coaches. I've said this so many times. I outsource for my training, and it's so overlooked. It's like we're so focused on getting people somewhere when actually we've got to get ourselves somewhere as well, right? Because then we can then feed back into them.
100%.
So yeah, I just wanted to say that, really.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so funny because you guys are both equally like incredible coaches, but your answers were so polar opposite in terms of like what your determination of professional coaches. Like, you could argue like there needs to be a clear understanding of how to get more sales in or whatever, right? Like, of course, you know, and I think that comes down to just being a good business owner. I think loads of personal trainers don't recognize that you are a business owner. And if you were to recognize that, you might start to lean towards being a lot more professional.
Yeah.
And then on the contrary to what you said, like, you know, be friends with your clients, but at some level, like, if you're too friendly, do people take advantage of that? So it's just about being able to be super relatable, super approachable, super caring, but also being able to have the authority to and like respect or reputation to be able to draw a line where the line needs to be drawn so that no one crosses that. And I think that's sometimes what I got wrong at times in my PT career was I became too friendly with some people and they took advantage of that. So it's very important just try and find that balance between everything. And I think ultimately what's very evident when we talk about like a professional personal trainer is it's the fact that you got to recognize you're a business owner, right? It's the fact that it does need to serve your life. You're absolutely right. I love that you brought that up. It's the fact that you need to have skill sets from all things, sales, marketing, client experience, customer journey, customer service, as well as all these soft skills, motivational interviewing techniques, mindset, behavioral change.
Yeah.
Then the technical side. Like we haven't even spoken about that in this conversation, right? But you need to have a sound knowledge of the body in motion.
Yeah.
The how to assess and see what movement looks like, how to do a consultation and gather information and feed people along a consultation to actually allow them to give you in-depth answers is a skill set in itself.
Yeah.
Then the movement screen, what you might get out of a movement screen, how that would feed program design. A skill set that coaches really lack is the ability to intuitively coach. Like coaches don't even know what intuitive coaching is because they're just like, oh, I need to paint by numbers. I need to just draw it on a piece of paper.
Yep. Like
that in itself is something that needs to change. Let's add further layers to it. And then it's the delivery of the program.
Yeah.
Your delivery every day in the gym, how you deliver, the energy you bring, the buy-in that you get because of the meaning you create around a deadlift. Like a deadlift for you and a deadlift for you are two very different things, right? But how we communicate it and how we celebrate those wins, that's how we build buy-in over time. And then how do we acknowledge the self-talk and manipulate it in a way in which we can feed positive change? How can we get them to recognize or change the perspective of which might be a win for them? You know, some people don't recognize, you know, these little things that they might be achieving day to day, right? So how can we feed that? Because we know that if you can practice gratitude, and I'm not trying to sound woo-woo, and I'm not like, let's get a journal out, but if we can get people to be more grateful in the moment, be more present in the moment, you're facilitating change, right? And it's like glass half full, half empty, BS. Either way, what is a professional personal trainer? It's a little bit of everything.
So what's insane is you list all of those things out, and in my head I'm like, yeah, I do that. You know, I've learned that. And it might seem so overwhelming of how much sort of skills and how much you have to actually do to be a professional coach. But the best thing about that, it was all brought into my learning in applicable times.
Yes.
So over the year, of being a coach, all of these things have slowly been taught to me and I've slowly learnt them, and it hasn't at once felt overwhelming again because I'm always trying to be better. But, you know, over a period of time, putting in the work, all of those things are now inside of me when I never actually, you listing them, I was like, holy shit, like I've learned a lot in the past year, but I've never felt like I haven't, like, and it's been overwhelming. I've never done that because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and, you know, stroke your back, but at the end of the day, I can. Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, having you by my side and talking about the scenarios I've been in through as a coach, you've always put in the right things to learn at the right time.
Yeah.
And then as you coach and you're on the gym floor, you have those scenarios and you slowly learn more and more and more, and then you slowly implement, and then they become, subconscious sort of actions in your delivery of being a coach.
Yeah.
Just sat there, you listening to them, I'm like, holy shit, I've learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head, and you said is how I've influenced you, is those subtle things, but it was only when it's applicable.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with any kind of coaching. Like, it's easy to go and show someone how much you know, but how you can make it important to them now, today, that's the difference.
That's when they learn it the best.
Yes. Yeah. Guys, I think this was amazing. Yeah. Cheese like it. If this is how the PFCA podcast is going to go, oh my word, we might change the world.
I think we can.
Already are.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Sweet.
Well, sing there.
Shall we sing a song?